Howdy, and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. We're closing out Midway week with one of the other minor players in the battle, the Martin B-26 Marauder, and we're going to be featuring that with a vintage solid wood kit produced by StromBecKer. This was made in 1943 as part of their spotter model series in 1/72nd scale. This is kit number S50, and the spotter model series was a series of kits produced by StromBecKer as a way of people to be able to make a representation of the aircraft as part of the spotter model series that was being done by the military, by both the Navy and the Army Air Forces. There was a call for civilians to make models to supply to the military as a way of training pilots, air crew, and aircraft gunners, whatnot, to be able to spot aircraft. And there were some that were made, as we've seen before, in various different types of plastic, cardboard, and then there was the wood series. The majority of these were made by, junior high school kids, Boy Scout troops, and the vast majority of them were useless because they really were really poorly produced and didn't reflect the aircraft they were supposed to represent. But the StromBecKer series was unique in that they were very heavily pre-carved. They were made out of hardwood, and so they were pretty accurate. And this is kind of the beginning of StromBecKer being known for producing some of the finest, the solid wood kits of the time. So we'll talk a little bit about the B-26 at Midway. There were 4 B-26s from the 38th and the 22nd Bomb Group who were on the island and went out on the first initial attacks on the Japanese fleet. The TBFs from the land-based VT-8 went out first. There were 6 of those, followed up by the B-26s. And the B-26s were equipped with a Mark 13 torpedo that was lashed underneath the bottom of the aircraft. That was a factory design to be able to do that. So unlike some reports where they just jerry-rigged it, that's not accurate. It was designed to carry a torpedo, just didn't do very well with it. And so the B-26s went out heading towards the Japanese fleet, caught up to the TBFs, and attacked almost simultaneously as the TBFs. But on their way in, they got intercepted by approximately 30 Zeros who proceeded to start to shoot the hell out of them. They did drop down as close to sea level as they could to kind of make it difficult for the Zeros to make, fast passes on them, and also kind of protect the underbelly of the aircraft, which was lightly armed, but just a couple of 30 cals, down below in the ventral windows. So as they went in, the first one to go in was the Second Lieutenant William S. Watson from the 38th Bomb Group. He approached the Akagi and took direct hits to the fuel tanks from the flak, and then some passes from Zeros, again, hold the aircraft, and it ultimately exploded before being able to drop its torpedo. Next in was Captain James Collins, also from the 38th. He was able to launch his torpedo against the Akagi. His gunners claimed 2 or 3 Zeros that had been attacking him. After releasing his fish, he went up into the clouds, but they got lost, and they found their way back to Midway when they saw the smoke rising from the East Island following the Japanese attack on Midway. Upon landing on Midway, the nose gear collapsed on it. Next in was First Lieutenant Herbert C. Mays. He was from the 22nd. His aircraft was nicknamed Satan's Playmate, and they were taking hits on the way in. They dropped their torpedo, received more hits. They were on a direct collision course for the Akagi, but he pulled up at the very last second and just barely skimmed over the Akagi, like feet away from the command deck up in the island. In fact, I think the captain, the admiral, up in the island, ducked, thinking they were going to get hit. So once it cleared the Akagi, it ended up crashing into the ocean between the Akagi and the Hiryu. And the final one to go in was First Lieutenant James Murray, and he's also from the 22nd. He was the last one to make the run in, and his aircraft was nicknamed Susie Q. Zeros had been attacking them and had wounded the top turret gunner and the tail gunner, and they were able to drop their torpedo. And Lieutenant Murray thought it would be advantageous to turn the aircraft and fly the length of the Akagi, since the guns on the carrier were pointing outwards. If you fly over the deck, the guns can't point at you. So he flew straight over the deck, and while they were flying over, the nose gunner was firing away at anything he could, and it's reported that 2 of the Japanese sailors on the Akagi were killed in that past. They ended up going down on the deck once they cleared the Akagi, and just poured coal on and went as fast as they could. The B-26, when it was clean, was a pretty fast ship, and they were able to actually outrun the Zeros that were chasing after them. They did have a lot of hits onto the aircraft, and fuel was leaking, so they transferred all the fuel to the one unholed tank that they had. They took a sunshot to be able to navigate themselves back to Midway, and on the first approach to landing, friendly fire started coming at them, so they had to swing around. Second approach, they weren't shooting at them anymore, so they were able to land. But the left landing gear was damaged, so they set down on the right gear. Brakes failed. Left wing dropped down and snapped off the left gear, and they ended up skidding to a stop off the end of the runway. Ultimately, they counted 500 holes in the aircraft, with damage to almost all the systems. And so they were pretty lucky to get back. It's reported that Captain Murray cut the nose art out of off of this aircraft and preserved it for his own collection. And all of the air crew involved with this attack with the 4 B-26s were all awarded DFCs. So that's the history of the B-26 at the Battle of Midway. Now let's take a look at the kit itself. So here you got Martin medium bomber. You've got 4-view of the aircraft here, and then kind of an angled shot here. It's part of the Spotter Model series, letting you know that it's 1/72. It's official. No carving tools needed. Shape parts ready to assemble. Illustrated instruction sheet. Glue, sandpaper, and templates. And on this part here, little blurb about the B-26 and what identification features are part of the B-26 are listed here. On the side, we've got mention about it being part of the recognition program. And then here, all the specific features that were different about StromBecKers, using Western pine instead of balsa, ready shape parts, so no carving, precision machine for easy assembly, quick assembly, never tedious, authentic detail for hobby fans, sandpaper, glue included, graphic assembly instructions in the age range of 7 to 70. And StromBecKer was based out of Moline, Illinois. On this side, it's a repetition of the other side. End of the box, it's got the kit number, the S50, Martin medium bomber, and again, part of the spotter model kit. And same thing on this end. Nothing on the bottom. This is a lithograph that's been glued onto a hard box. And here we have our instruction sheet. This is fairly large instruction sheet, so I'll be showing it to you in sections here. It's pretty delicate. Get this open here. On the back side, we've got how to assemble it, assembly instructions on here. Got a parts of the plane telling you what things are. Let's flip this over. So we have an exploded view of the assembly with the parts call out. Got a 3 view there. Talking about scoring to be able to represent where the flaps and ailerons are and their parts. And here you have your template or your profile views showing the shape of the fuselage. Top view, side view. And you got your wings. And then showing you how much to sand off to be able to get the correct airfoil. And then we have our engine nacelles and stabilizer dihedral gauge. So you cut this out and then lay it out when you're putting your stabilizer pieces together in order to get the right dihedral, and how to do the additional intakes on the nacelles. Here's your tail, again showing you profiles of the airfoil. And then here's the templates, the A, B, C, D templates, which match up with the fuselage profile. And then here we have them being made by StromBecKer, which is the old name for StromBecKer. So pretty thorough instruction sheet. Next up we have the decals, which are not decals. These are actually just cut out and then you glue them onto the aircraft using lacquer cement. And makes note of the fact that if you're going to be making this as a spotter model, that the spotter model should all be black and not using insignia. This one has 2 sets, which is nice. And for the canopy and turrets, you've got these cutouts here. And then you'd glue those tail stripes on and then trim them down to fit the tail. Interesting that they give the stripes, but yet they give the later version without the red dot in here, which kind of was contradictory. And here we got some sandpaper. And here is the wood filler packet. Again, StromBecKer. And this is the glue. Now we'll look at the parts. So here's our fuselage, and it's all pine hardwood. And you can see how nicely carved these are. The fuselage is almost completely pre-shaped. A little bit of sanding you'd have to do to kind of finish up some of the areas, smooth it out a little bit. If you notice, it's the early B-26 with the pointed tail, which is correct for Midway period. And you got a hole here for the turret. This would just pop inside right there. Probably one. And then the way that would work is you got your wings here, and your wing pieces have a slight cut, which you glue your 2 wings together like this first, and that actually gives you the slight dihedral that you would need. And then you take that and then glue that in here. You have to trim it a little bit to make it fit inside the hole. You have to cut the back part here to make it fit. Then once you get those down, then you have this piece here, which would then go over the wings and then complete the fuselage. So pretty ingenious way of doing it, and very, very nicely engineered. Then you've got little cutouts here for the engine nacelles, which would fit on there. So nice fit there. And as you can see on the nacelles, they're all fully carved, and even have some of the grooves for the cowl flaps. And this model here, the B-26, had spinners on the props, and this was a separate piece. This one's already been stuck in, and I can't quite get it out, but here's what the spinner looks like. Get this little plug, and you'd pop it in there and look like that. So a pretty nice way of doing that. So there's your wing, and that's the top part. Then here's your tail. And here's the horizontal surfaces. And these you would, looks like a little piece of this is missing on here. So these are same thing again, they're slightly angled on their cut, which would then lay across there. And then you'd use that little jig to be able to represent that. And then here's the extra little piece for you to make the tail bumper, and then the additional scoops for the cowling. The stick here for you to glue on sandpaper for the heavy sandpaper. And this here is for making additional little parts as well. And there was this inside here. I don't know if this actually belongs to this kit or not. I didn't see a hole cut in here. So this may have belonged to something else, because there's no base to put this on either. So that may not belong to this kit. So there you have it. Pretty nice kit. You can see where StromBecKer was gaining its reputation as being, one of the better of the solid kit makers. No plastic parts with this one, no props, but that was indicative of the type of model this was, being a spotter model. You didn't represent the actual propellers or the guns or anything like that. So unlike some of the other StromBecKer kits, they're non-spotter ones that have some pretty nice little accessory pieces. This one does not contain any of those. So this was issued in one other version. ScaleMate shows it is also a 1943 kit with a completely different type of box art. Not sure if it's actually a 43 or if maybe a little bit later, or possibly a post-war version of it. But it's also listed as a spotter model as well too. So I'll show you that one at the end here. And I'm also going to include some of the photographs of the B-26s at Midway, and there is one shot of one of the crewmen, or the whole crew from Susie Q, and then I was also able to source a photograph for Lieutenant Watson and his photograph. So that is about it for this. This concludes our Midway week. If you've built one of these wood kits, tell us about it in the comment section. If you got one sitting on your shelf, take a picture of it, send it in so we can share it with the others. Well, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great rest of your day.